Hey guys, the MMA Exchange here, breaking down UFC Fight Night Barboza versus Yusuff. Let's go. Kicking off the card, we have Ashley Yoder versus Emily Ducote. Who I have winning in this fight is Emily Ducote, for the sheer fact that Ashley Yoder, we've seen in her previous fights, performance is not as impressive. She's been on quite a losing streak. She's 35, and if you're not established at 35 in the UFC, what are you doing really? Her opponent though, Emily Ducote, is 12-8. Still not the best record, but she is better than her opponent in Ashley Yoder. She's younger at 29 and making her UFC debut. I think she'll be more game and more pressuring. And I think we see Emily Ducote win by a decision. Moving on to the next fight, we have Chris Gutierrez versus Altangeli. I'm probably pronouncing that incorrectly. I just feel that the ranginess of Chris Gutierrez is what's going to win him this fight. The leg kicks especially. With his opponent, Altangeli, he's not as rangy. He's not as good with managing his distance. And I just think Chris Gutierrez, let's be honest, this is like a warm-up or tune-up fight for him. Obviously coming off a loss in his last fight. He's now coming back against an opponent like this where he's going to get the win. So for me, this will be the lock of the card, Chris Gutierrez. Moving on, we have Irina Alexeva versus Melissa Dixon. Irina Alexeva has one UFC fight, and in her UFC debut, she did miss weight by 4 pounds. And then coming off that win, she started to do like a Conor McGregor strat. I'm not sure why. For me personally, I find that as like you're not as disciplined as you should be when you are entering in the UFC. And for that reason, I think that Melissa Dixon, being at 5-0 and having a lot of recent fights, will be more fresh, should be more game. And I think what's going to happen is we're going to see Melissa Dixon ride it to a decision win. Moving on to Terrence McKinney versus Brendan Moret. Terrence McKinney, 14-6, and Brendan being 8-1. This is a last-minute replacement for Terrence McKinney's original opponent. We've seen Terrence McKinney stuff up recently. He's lost by submission. He's lost by a few times by knockout because of knees. So if Brendan isn't throwing knees down the middle when Terrence McKinney is exploding forward, I think Terrence McKinney will be all right. I'm predicting personally for me, Terrence McKinney by round 1 or round 2 knockout. I think he's just going to be pressuring from the bell, and we'll see Terrence McKinney win by knockout. Moving on to Terena Lisboa versus Ravina Oliveira. Lisboa being a bit more prepared for this fight. She did have another opponent. That got cancelled. Ravina now is her new opponent. I don't think Ravina is as prepared for this fight, and that's why, for the sheer fact, that's why I have Tenara Lisboa winning. Moving on to the main, or whatever you call it, prelim. Darren Elkins versus TJ Brown. Darren Elkins, like his nickname, The Damage, has taken a lot of damage himself. I think TJ Brown, he's going to let his hands go. And because of the amount of damage that Darren Elkins has taken, I don't think he can take a punch clean anymore like how he used to do. And I think TJ Brown gets this done by knockout. Heavier hands, he's going to be more quicker. Darren Elkins has an old school style fight to him, and I just think that TJ Brown is a little bit more advanced, and then I definitely will see TJ Brown win. I'm not sure how, but I'm predicting late stoppage. Now, moving on to the main events. So, Christian Rodriguez versus Cameron Simon. I was actually surprised to see that Cameron Simon be an underdog. He's undefeated at 9-0. Comparing it to his opponent, Christian Rodriguez, at 9-1. Cameron Simon, I feel that he is stronger. He's going to defend the takedowns. He's going to let his hands go. We've seen him have great knockout power. But also, we've seen him have great submission ability. So I think we see Cameron Simon get it done by around 3 stoppage. So either submission or knockout. But I think he gets it done in round 3. Moving on, we see Edgar Chairez versus Daniel Da Silva. This fight should have been in the favor of Edgar Chairez, as in they fought at UFC Noche. He should have won, and I think Daniel Da Silva knew he was losing, so he tried to throw the fight and somehow make it a bit controversial. Obviously, in the first fight, they said that it was a no contest. Edgar Chairez by submission, and I think he gets it done even quicker this time. Moving on to Andre Petroski versus Michel Pereira. Andre Petroski is coming off a win against GM3 or Gerald Meerschaert, and I didn't really think he looked as impressive in that fight, considering how much of an age difference he had. Michel Pereira, strong, good with his hips. I think the resting from Andre Petroski isn't going to be enough to take down Michel Pereira. And I actually think that Michel Pereira gets this done either by round 3 knockout or by decision. Moving on to Jonathan Martinez versus Adrian Yanez. Adrian Yanez coming off that first round knockout against Rob Font. We saw how he handled that loss. Very, I don't want to say immature, but he didn't handle the loss well whatsoever. I think Jonathan Martinez, this is like a classic kicker versus boxer kind of thing. Adrian Yanez has great boxing and has really quick hands. The thing is though, with his style, Jonathan Martinez, if he throws a few leg kicks, Adrian Yanez's legs are toast. He's not going to check leg kicks. So if Jonathan Martinez comes out with a heavy kicking game, I think he slows down Yanez through kicks, lets his hands go, and I actually think he gets this done by knockout. Moving on to the co-main event, Jennifer Maia versus Viviane Araújo. I think Jennifer Maia by round 3 submission, stronger wrestling, stronger submissions. Viviane Araújo, yes, she's an all right fighter, not the best, not the worst, but I just think the experience with Jennifer Maia, she has more fights, more wins. Yes, she has a few more losses, but I just think she's more game. She's more ferocious. She wants to instill her game plan more through wrestling and jiu-jitsu. She hasn't been improving with her hands. So I think Jennifer Maia gets this done by round 3 submission. Now to the main event. Sodiq Yusuff versus Edson Barboza. I have been juggling back and forth a bit on this one. Sodiq Yusuff, whenever he gets touched, he wobbles. That's the main issue. But we've seen Edson Barboza, we've seen his opponent sort of pick out a game plan. Pressure Edson Barboza. Whenever he's on the fence, he's not as effective. If Sodiq Yusuff comes out with a forward style, great. If he doesn't know and he sort of tries to play into the game of Edson Barboza, where in and out, tagging, leaning back, doing all this stuff, trying to be rangy, Edson Barboza is going to win. What I see happening personally, I know a lot of people are picking Sodiq Yusuff, but I actually think Edson Barboza can get this done by round 4 or 5 knockout. I mean, look, he's a really big underdog. Sportsbet had him at the time a $2.90 underdog when I placed my parlay. I just think that Edson Barboza, he's fast. Even though he's much older, he's still remained a quick and effective striker. So I think he gets his kicks going, slows down Yusuff, and similarly to how I've predicted the Jonathan Martinez fight, slows him down with the leg kicks, explodes with his hands. Sodiq Yusuff, though, if he wants to win, he has to be pressuring. But I just think that Edson Barboza, because he has such a longer career and more experience, he's more used to going into the later rounds, or he's more used to digging deep and sort of trying to find that second win. So I'm going, my official prediction is Edson Barboza to win by round 4 or 5 knockout. And guys, that's the prediction. Tune in to the MMA Exchange on Sunday, where I'll be doing a UFC Fight Night Barboza versus Yusuff reaction video. Thank you.